Hi everyone, welcome back to Bible in a Year. My name is Natalie and today we're on day 127. I am so glad that you're here today and I hope you're doing good. We are going to be reading Numbers chapter 16, Isaiah chapters 11 and 12, Matthew chapter 6, but only verses 1 through 18 today, and then we'll close out the day with Psalm 78, verses 56 through 64. So let's get started with Numbers chapter 16. Now Korah, the son of Izhar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi, with Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, and On, the son of Peleth, sons of Reuben, took some men. They rose up before Moses with some of the children of Israel, 250 princes of the congregation, called to the assembly, men of renown. They assembled themselves together against Moses and against Aaron, and said to them, "You take too much on yourself, since all the congregation are holy, every one of them, and Yahweh is among them. Why do you lift yourselves up above Yahweh's assembly?" When Moses heard it, he fell on his face. He said to Korah and to all his company, "In the morning Yahweh will show who are his and who is holy, and will cause him to come near to him. Even him who he shall choose, he will cause to come near to him. Do this. Have Korah and all his company take censers, put fire in them, and put incense on them before Yahweh tomorrow. It shall be that the man whom Yahweh chooses, he shall be holy. You have gone too far, you sons of Levi." Moses said to Korah, "Hear now, you sons of Levi. Is it a small thing to you that the God of Israel has separated you from the congregation of Israel to bring you near to himself, to do the service of Yahweh's tabernacle, and to stand before the congregation to minister to them, and that he has brought you near, and all your brothers, the sons of Levi, with you? Do you seek the priesthood also? Therefore, you and all your company have gathered against Yahweh. What is Aaron that you complain against him?" Moses sent to call Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, and they said, "We won't come up. Is it a small thing that you have brought us up out of the land flowing with milk and honey to kill us in the wilderness? But you must also make yourself a prince over us? Moreover, you haven't brought us into a land flowing with milk and honey, nor given us inheritance of fields and vineyards. Will you put out the eyes of these men? We won't come up." Moses was very angry and said to Yahweh, "Don't respect their offering. I have not taken one donkey from them, neither have I hurt one of them." Moses said to Korah, "You and all your company go before Yahweh, you and they and Aaron tomorrow. Each man take his censer and put incense on it, and each man bring before Yahweh his censer, 250 censers. You also and Aaron, each with his censer." They each took his censer and put fire in it, and laid incense on it, and stood at the door of the tent of meeting with Moses and Aaron. Korah assembled all the congregation opposite them to the door of the tent of meeting. Yahweh's glory appeared to all the congregation. Yahweh spoke to Moses and to Aaron, saying, "Separate yourselves from among this congregation, that I may consume them in a moment." They fell on their faces and said, "God, the God of the spirits of all flesh, shall one man sin, and will you be angry with all the congregation?" Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the congregation, saying, "Get away from around the tent of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram." Moses rose up and went to Dathan and Abiram, and the elders of Israel followed him. He spoke to the congregation, saying, "Depart, please, from the tents of these wicked men, and touch nothing of theirs, lest you be consumed in all their sins." So they went away from the tent of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram on every side. Dathan and Abiram came out and stood at the door of their tents with their wives, their sons, and their little ones. Moses said, "Hereby you shall know that Yahweh has sent me to do all these works, for they are not from my own mind. If these men die the common death of all men, or if they experience what all men experience, then Yahweh hasn't sent me. But if Yahweh makes a new thing, and the ground opens its mouth and swallows them up with all that belongs to them, and they go down alive into Sheol, then you shall understand that these men have despised Yahweh." As he finished speaking these words, the ground that was under them split apart. The earth opened its mouth and swallowed them up with their households, all of Korah's men, and all their goods. So they and all that belonged to them went down alive into Sheol. The earth closed on them, and they perished from among the assembly. All Israel that were around them fled at their cry, for they said, "Lest the earth swallow us up." Fire came out from Yahweh and devoured the 250 men who offered the incense. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, that he take up the censers out of the burning, and scatter the fire away from the camp, for they are holy, even the censers of those who sinned against their own lives. Let them be beaten into plates for a covering of the altar, for they offered them before Yahweh. Therefore they are holy. They shall be assigned to the children of Israel." Eleazar the priest took the bronze censers which those who were burned had offered, and they beat them out for a covering of the altar, to be a memorial to the children of Israel, to the end that no stranger who isn't of the offspring of Aaron would come near to burn incense before Yahweh, that he not be as Korah and as his company, as Yahweh spoke to him by Moses. But on the next day, all the congregation of the children of Israel complained against Moses and against Aaron, saying, "You have killed Yahweh's people." When the congregation was assembled against Moses and against Aaron, they looked toward the tent of meeting. Behold, the cloud covered it, and Yahweh's glory appeared. Moses and Aaron came to the front of the tent of meeting. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, "Get away from among this congregation, that I may consume them in a moment." They fell on their faces. Moses said to Aaron, "Take your censer, put fire from the altar in it, lay incense on it, carry it quickly to the congregation, and make atonement for them, for wrath has gone out from Yahweh. The plague has begun." Aaron did as Moses said and ran into the middle of the assembly. The plague had already begun among the people. He put on the incense and made atonement for the people. He stood between the dead and the living, and the plague was stayed. Now those who died by the plague were 14,700, in addition to those who died about the matter of Korah. Aaron returned to Moses to the door of the tent of meeting, and the plague was stopped. Whoa, I often say I would love to be, on the sidelines watching what's going on. No, reading this was just fine. I don't need to witness that. That is intense. Wow. So Isaiah chapter 11 and 12. but have no fear. Chapter 12 is like a paragraph. So here we go. A shoot will come out of the stock of Jesse, and a branch out of his roots will bear fruit. Yahweh's Spirit will rest on him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and the fear of Yahweh. His delight will be in the fear of Yahweh. He will not judge by the sight of his eyes, neither decide by the hearing of his ears, but he will judge the poor with righteousness and decide with equity for the humble of the earth. He will strike the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips he will kill the wicked. Righteousness will be the belt around his waist, and faithfulness the belt around his waist. The wolf will live with the lamb, and the leopard will lie down with the young goat, the calf, the young lion, and the fattened calf together, and a little child will lead them. The cow and the bear will graze, their young ones will lie down together. The lion will eat straw like an ox. The nursing child will play near a cobra's hole, and the weaned child will put his hand on the viper's den. They will not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth will be full of the knowledge of Yahweh, as the waters cover the sea. It will happen in that day that the nations will seek the root of Jesse, who stands as a banner of the peoples, and his resting place will be glorious. It will happen in that day that the Lord will set his hand against these. It will happen in that day that the Lord will set his hand again, the second time, to recover the remnant that is left of his people from Assyria, from Egypt, from Pathros, from Cush, from Elam, from Shinar, from Hamath, and from the island of the sea. He will set up a banner for the nations, and will assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. The envy also of Ephraim will depart, and those who persecute Judah will be cut off. Ephraim won't envy Judah, and Judah won't persecute Ephraim. They will fly down on the shoulders of the Philistines on the west. Together they will plunder the children of the east. They will extend their power over Edom and Moab, and the children of Ammon will obey them. Yahweh will utterly destroy the tongue of the Egyptian sea, and with his scorching wind he will wave his hand over the river, and will split it into 7 streams, and cause men to march over in sandals. There will be a highway for a remnant that is left of his people from Assyria, like there was for Israel in the day that he came up out of the land of Egypt. Chapter 12. In that day you will say, I will give thanks to you, Yahweh, for though you are angry with me, your anger has turned away, and you comfort me. Behold, God is my salvation. I will trust, and I will not be afraid. For Yahweh is my strength and song, and he has become my salvation. Therefore, with joy, you will draw water out of the wells of salvation. In that day you will say, give thanks to Yahweh, call on his name, declare his doings among the peoples, proclaim that his name is exalted. Sing to Yahweh, for he has done excellent things. Let this be known in all the earth. Cry aloud and shout, you inhabitant of Zion, for the Holy One of Israel is great among you. I didn't know it was going to stop there. We were going to keep going. Okay, Matthew 6. Verses 1 through 18. All right, this is Jesus talking. Be careful that you don't do your charitable giving before men to be seen by them, or else you have no reward from your Father who is in heaven. Therefore, when you do merciful deeds, don't sound a trumpet before yourself, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, that they may get glory from men. Most certainly, I tell you, they have received their reward. But when you do merciful deeds, don't let your left hand know what your right hand does, so that your merciful deeds may be in secret. Then your Father who sees in secret will reward you openly. When you pray, you shall not be as the hypocrites, for they love to stand and pray in the synagogues and in the corners of the streets, that they may be seen by men. Most certainly, I tell you, they have received their reward. But you, when you pray, enter into your inner room, and having shut your door, pray to your Father who is in secret, and your Father who sees you in secret will reward you openly. In praying, don't use vain repetitions as the Gentiles do, for they think that they will be heard for their much speaking. Therefore, don't be like them, for your Father knows what things you need before you ask Him. Pray like this: Our Father in heaven, may your name be kept holy. Let your kingdom come. Let your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. Bring us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For yours is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. For if you forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you forgive men their but if you don't forgive men their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses. Moreover, when you fast, don't be like the hypocrites with sad faces, for they disfigure their faces that they may be seen by men to be fasting. Most certainly, I tell you, they have received their reward. But you, when you fast, anoint your head and wash your face, so that you are not seen by men to be fasting, but by your Father who is in secret, and your Father who is in secret will reward you. Oh my goodness, I just love that. I just love that, because that is what God is looking for. He is looking for the one-on-one relationship. He's saying right here, don't be like those who are pronouncing their prayers and praying loudly, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but his suggestion is, you just put yourself in a quiet place. Talk to me. I'll hear you. That's what he's looking for, the one-on-one relationship. All right, Psalm 78, 56 through 64. Here we go. Yet they tempted and rebelled against the Most High God and didn't keep his testimonies, but turned back and dealt treacherously like their fathers. They were twisted like a deceitful bow, for they provoked him to anger with their high places and moved him to jealousy with their engraved images. When God heard this, he was angry and greatly abhorred Israel, so that he abandoned the tent of Shiloh, the tent which he placed among them, and delivered his strength into captivity, his glory into the adversary's hand. He also gave his people over to the sword and was angry with his inheritance. Fire devoured their young men. Their virgins had no wedding song. Their priests fell by the sword, and their widows couldn't weep. Wow, such a contrast from Matthew into Psalm, and how Jesus is saying this, just you. He just wants you. And then coming into Psalm, how God is just so frustrated with everybody. He's so frustrated because all he wants is that relationship, and everybody's just doing their own thing. Quite frankly, on a human level, while I will never place Jesus or God on a human level, except for, of course, when Jesus walked as a man on earth. But honestly, I get so frustrated with certain people because, I see them doing things that are going to hurt them or somebody else in the long run, and they are not listening to me. And I am so frustrated, and kindness and nice words can only go so far. And when that doesn't work, that's when I'm like, rah, and they hear my wrath. So, I get it. I get it. And I feel so bad for God, because all he wants is a relationship with us. And we're just humans. So, anyways, thank you for coming on back for day 127. Listen to the words that were read. My opinions and my thoughts are not the end all. Really think about the words that we were reading and how it applies to your life personally. And have a talk with God today. All right? And we will see you tomorrow for day 128. Have a fantastic day, everybody, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye.